The sun was just rising over the small human village of Leora, painting the wooden houses with a warm golden glow. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, and children ran laughing through narrow dirt streets, their small hands clapping as they played simple games. The air smelled of fresh bread and morning dew. It was a quiet, ordinary morning, one that would soon be torn apart forever. At the edge of the village, a young woman named Arya tied her long hair into a tight braid. She was barely 20, but her eyes held a seriousness beyond her years. Her mother had died when she was a child, and her father had taught her how to defend herself, just in case. Today, she had planned to help the villagers gather food from the nearby forest. She adjusted the straps of her small satchel and smiled at the familiar sights of her home, unaware that this peace was about to vanish. Suddenly, the sky darkened. Shadows passed over the sun as enormous ships, black and gleaming, descended from above. The villagers looked up in terror. These were no ordinary ships. They were alien warships, bristling with weapons and emitting a low, thunderous hum that shook the ground beneath their feet. Horses bolted and chickens scattered, their squawks lost in the growing roar of engines. Arya froze. Her heart pounded like a drum. She recognized these ships. The symbols etched on their hulls were known across nearby star systems. These were the Zyra, a ruthless alien empire known for crushing every world they touched. People whispered stories of their cruelty, but Arya had never seen them, until now. The first wave of aliens landed without warning. Massive beings, taller than any human, poured from the ships. Their skin shimmered in dark metallic colors, and their eyes glowed like molten gold. Weapons in hand, they moved with terrifying precision. Their leader, a figure larger than the rest, strode forward, and even from a distance, Arya could see the cruel smile on his face. Screams filled the air. Homes were set ablaze with fire beams from the aliens' weapons. The wooden houses, the barns, the market stalls, all caught fire within minutes. Smoke rose into the sky like a black storm cloud. Villagers ran in every direction, clutching their children, carrying what they could, and leaving everything behind. The smell of burning wood and flesh filled the air, choking and thick. Arya ran too, her feet pounding against the dirt roads. She grabbed a small basket of bread from the market stall, but the basket slipped from her hands as she stumbled over a fallen beam. She looked back. Her eyes widened in horror. Her father was fighting a group of aliens, his sword clashing against strange, glowing weapons. Her younger brother hid behind a cart, trembling and crying. She screamed his name, but the chaos swallowed her voice. The alien leader raised his hand, and a wave of energy blasted forward, knocking her father to the ground. Arya felt her chest tighten as she ran, but she couldn't stop looking back. Flames devoured her home, the village she had grown up in, the streets she had walked every day, the people she had laughed with, were disappearing in a blaze of fire. Tears ran down her face as she ducked into a narrow alley, trying to catch her breath. The smell of smoke burned her lungs. She watched from behind a stone wall as the alien leader walked through the village, his head held high, his laughter echoing across the burning streets. He paused for a moment in front of her family home and smiled, a cruel, victorious smile that made her stomach twist. Her mother's old garden was gone. Her father's forge was reduced to molten ash. Her brother was gone. Arya fell to her knees, feeling the weight of helplessness crush her. The world she had known was gone in a single morning. But amid the despair, something inside her shifted. The fear, the sorrow, and the anger began to burn together, creating a fire that matched the one consuming her village. She whispered through gritted teeth, "I will make them pay." The words felt small in the chaos, but to her, they carried all the power of her broken world. She clenched her fists, her nails biting into her palms. Every scream, every crackling fire, every shadow of alien cruelty etched itself into her mind. She would not forget. She would not forgive. Arya moved carefully, avoiding the patrols of aliens as she navigated through the remains of the village. Every step was careful, silent. She passed houses that were still burning, their wooden beams collapsing in slow, catastrophic crashes. The market was gone, replaced with piles of ashes and charred goods. The laughter of children was replaced with a haunting silence that pressed into her ears. She paused at the edge of the village, looking back one last time. The sky was now dark with smoke, and the stars that once shone faintly above were hidden. The alien leader stood on a hill, observing the destruction, as if marking his victory. Arya felt a shiver run down her spine, but it was not fear, it was determination. Turning away, she walked into the surrounding forest. The dense trees offered cover, their thick branches hiding her from the alien patrols. Every step carried her farther from the life she had lost and closer to a path she did not yet fully understand. She did not know where this path would lead, only that she could not stay. She could not survive in hiding alone forever. Her revenge would need planning, patience, and strength she had yet to discover. As night fell, the glow from the burning village faded into the distance, leaving only black smoke against the starry sky. Arya pressed on, her heart heavy but her resolve unbreakable. The village was gone. Her family was gone. The life she had known was gone. But she still had her will, her mind, and her promise. Somewhere in the dark expanse of the forest, she paused and looked up at the stars. They were countless, distant, and cold, yet they reminded her that humans had survived against impossible odds before. And if humans could survive anything, maybe, just maybe, she could make an entire empire tremble. With the vow still burning in her heart, Arya disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind the ashes of her past. The adventure and the war was only beginning. The forest was dark, but Arya moved like a shadow. Her feet barely made a sound as she slipped between thick trees and underbrush. The smoke from her village was still visible in the distance, a grim reminder of everything she had lost. Each step was heavy with sorrow, but heavier still with determination. She had survived the invasion. Now, she had to survive herself. She walked for hours, guided by the dim light of distant stars. The forest seemed endless, full of strange sounds and rustling leaves. Small creatures scuttled and called in the darkness, some curious, some warning. Arya kept moving, her mind focused. She needed food, water, and a plan. She could not fight the aliens yet, not alone, not with only her anger and grief. By evening, she reached a small clearing. A stream ran through it, its water sparkling in the last light of day. She knelt, cupping her hands to drink, tasting the cold freshness. For the first time since the village burned, she felt a small sense of relief. Hunger gnawed at her stomach, but at least she was alive. That life, she realized, was her first weapon. She could not waste it. While resting, she heard a low, mechanical hum. Her eyes narrowed, scanning the tree-line. A small alien scout hovered above the ground, its metallic wings slicing through the air. It was alone, perhaps separated from a larger patrol. Arya froze. One wrong move, and she could die. The alien's glowing eyes swept the clearing, its head tilting like it sensed her presence. Arya's mind raced. She remembered her father's training, the small, quick movements, the way to remain unseen. She held her breath and pressed herself against a fallen log, blending with the shadows. The scout hovered closer, the hum of its engines rising. It passed over her, then, without noticing, drifted away into the forest. Her chest heaved as she exhaled slowly. That was too close, she thought. Too close. She realized something important. The aliens had power, yes, but they were not perfect. They could be outsmarted, outmaneuvered. And that realization ignited a spark inside her, a tiny flame of hope. After the scout disappeared, Arya explored the clearing. Beneath a pile of rocks, she found something unexpected, a small chest, hidden and old. Dust covered it, but the latch was intact. Curiosity overrode caution, and she opened it. Inside were strange devices, glowing faintly with energy. They were weapons, but unlike anything she had seen. Compact, powerful, and human-made. Ancient human weapons, lost for centuries, designed for resistance against stronger enemies. Her heart skipped a beat. These were the tools she needed. Maybe not enough to defeat the Empire alone, but enough to give her a chance. She examined them carefully, learning how they worked. They hummed softly in her hands, like they recognized her touch. For the first time, she felt that anger alone was not her only ally. She had technology, ingenuity, and the will to use it. Suddenly, the rustle of leaves snapped her attention to the east. Another scout, larger this time, moved with sharp precision, scanning the area. Arya ducked behind a thick tree trunk, holding her breath. Her fingers brushed the controls of the weapon in her satchel. She could fight, but if she attacked now, she might alert the others. She needed patience. The alien passed by, but then a branch cracked beneath her foot. Her stomach dropped. The alien's glowing eyes turned toward her. Time seemed to stretch, each second endless. Arya remembered her father's words. Your mind is faster than their weapons. Think, then move. She thought quickly, and just as the alien took a step forward, she rolled into the underbrush, hiding completely. The scout hovered for a moment, unsure, then finally moved on. Arya exhaled, relief flooding her. That encounter was dangerous, but it taught her something vital. She could survive, she could hide, and she could fight when the time was right. The aliens were powerful, yes, but she was clever. She would have to be clever and ruthless to take revenge. Night fell fully, and the forest became a maze of shadows. Arya made a small camp in a hollowed tree. She ate some dried fruits she had found and sipped water from a stream. She kept the weapons close, inspecting them, imagining how she could use them against the aliens. Every spark of imagination became a plan. Every plan became a step closer to her goal. As she lay on the forest floor, sleep came only lightly. Her mind was alive with thoughts of the village, her family, and the aliens' mocking laughter. The image of the alien leader's cruel smile haunted her dreams, but it also fueled her determination. She would not be hunted. She would not hide forever. One day, she would return to the heart of the Empire, not to beg, not to hide, but to strike. Before sleep claimed her fully, she made a promise to herself, stronger than any vow she had whispered. I will train. I will gather strength. I will become a weapon they cannot ignore. And when the time comes, I will make them pay for every life they took. In the dark, the stars glimmered above, distant and cold. Yet to Arya, they were a reminder that humans had survived impossible odds before. And if humans could survive, adapt, and fight back, maybe she could survive this too. Maybe she could become the storm the aliens would never expect. The forest was quiet now, but it was alive with possibility. Arya's journey had just begun. She was small, she was alone, but she was clever, and cleverness, she knew, could be deadlier than brute strength. With the first light of dawn approaching, she packed her few belongings and continued walking deeper into the forest. Somewhere ahead, new challenges waited. Allies, enemies, dangers, and secrets. She did not know them yet, but she would face them all. And through every step, her determination burned brighter than the fires that had consumed her village. Arya disappeared into the trees, silent, patient, and ready. She was learning. She was growing. And the galaxy would soon realize that even a single human could become a force no empire could ignore. The alien outpost loomed ahead, black and cold against the twilight sky. From a distance, it looked like a fortress built from metal as hard as stone, with towers bristling with weapons that glowed faintly in the fading light. Arya crouched behind a cluster of rocks, her chest heaving with both fear and determination. She had come far from the ashes of her village, but the real challenge was only beginning. She watched the patrols carefully. Alien soldiers, larger than humans and heavily armored, moved in precise formations. Their glowing eyes swept across the landscape, scanning for anything unusual. Her pulse raced. One mistake, one wrong step, and she could die before she even reached the outpost. But she had no choice. She had found the ancient human weapons in the forest, and now it was time to test them. Time to strike. Arya crept closer, staying low, her body pressed to the ground. She whispered to herself, "This is for the village, for my family." Every step she took brought memories of the burning homes, her father's last stand, and the alien leader's cruel laughter back to her mind. The anger was sharp, but it was focused. She would not waste it in panic. She would use it to plan, to survive, to fight. When she reached a hill that gave her a clear view of the outpost, she stopped. She pulled the small weapon from her satchel, a compact energy device, humming softly with power. It was old, yes, but designed for precision and destruction. Her fingers shook slightly as she calibrated it. She aimed at the supply depot in the outpost, knowing that damaging it could slow down the aliens and send a message that humans were not as weak as they thought. Her first shot was quiet but deadly. The device emitted a bright pulse, striking the depot. The impact was immediate. Explosions ripped through the building, and flames erupted into the sky. Alarms screamed across the outpost. Alien soldiers shouted commands, rushing to respond to the sudden chaos. Arya ducked behind the rocks, watching as panic spread among the aliens. For the first time, she saw fear in their eyes, small, fleeting, but real. The strike was only the beginning. Arya moved quickly, planting small devices at key points around the perimeter. Each one was designed to create confusion, to disrupt communications, and to make the aliens question their strength. She had no illusions. She was one human against hundreds of trained alien warriors, but she could outsmart them. Cleverness, she reminded herself, could be deadlier than size or strength. A patrol moved dangerously close. Arya froze, her heart hammering in her chest. She pressed herself into the shadows, holding her breath as the soldiers passed mere meters away. Her fingers tightened around the weapon. One wrong sound, one flicker of movement, and her plan would end here. But the patrol moved on, oblivious. Relief washed over her briefly, followed by renewed focus. She had to finish her mission. With the patrol gone, she activated her devices remotely. Small explosions erupted, sending alien soldiers scattering and creating chaos in the outpost. The outpost commander barked orders, but the confusion slowed them down. Arya watched as the soldiers struggled to regroup. She smiled grimly. One human had done this, and they had no idea how. But the triumph was short-lived. From the shadows of the outpost, a larger alien force appeared. They moved with deadly precision, cutting off escape routes. Arya's heart sank. She had underestimated their response speed. The forest behind her was too far to reach safely now. She was trapped, at least for a moment, in a dangerous web of alien soldiers. Her mind raced. She had to think fast. She remembered the weapon's secondary function, an energy pulse that could knock back enemies temporarily. She aimed carefully, releasing it into the center of the approaching force. Aliens stumbled, tripped, and fell, giving her a narrow window to slip away. She ran, dodging laser fire, jumping over fallen debris, and keeping low. Every second was critical. She reached a small canyon and paused, catching her breath. The outpost glowed behind her with fire and alarms, evidence of her strike. She allowed herself a small moment of satisfaction. One human had dared to challenge the Empire, and one human had succeeded, at least partially. The aliens would be searching for her now, but she had sent a clear message. Humans could fight back. Humans could hurt them. As she moved deeper into the canyon, Arya reflected on what she had learned. She was clever, fast, and resourceful, but the aliens were still powerful, and one small strike would not be enough to destroy their homeworld. She needed allies, more weapons, and a plan. The journey ahead was dangerous, and every step would be harder than the last. But she felt a fire within her that no alien could extinguish. Night fell, and the outpost's glow became distant. Arya paused to look back. Smoke rose like a dark pillar, and the distant fires illuminated the alien patrols moving in confusion. She clenched her fists. One day, she would not just destroy a supply depot. She would make the alien empire regret every life they had taken from her people. She pressed onward, deeper into uncharted lands, knowing that the next step would be the hardest yet. She had survived her first strike, but the galaxy was vast, and the Empire was powerful. Arya was alone, yes, but she was clever, and cleverness, she knew, could become a weapon far deadlier than brute force. Somewhere in the darkness ahead, new challenges waited. Other humans, hidden dangers, and secrets of ancient technology she had yet to discover. Each step brought her closer to the alien leader who had destroyed her village, and closer to the revenge she had sworn. Arya walked on, silent, determined, and ready. The first strike was over, but the war was only beginning. The forest opened into a wide valley, shadowed by jagged cliffs and dotted with strange, alien flora. Arya moved cautiously, her senses sharp. The echoes of her first strike still hummed in her mind. The sound of explosions, the confusion of alien soldiers. She had survived, but she knew she could not continue alone. One human against an entire empire would not be enough. She needed allies. She had heard rumors of other humans who had survived the Zyra invasion, scattered, hiding in secret pockets across the galaxy. Some had escaped from conquered worlds. Some had lived in hiding for decades. Arya did not know if the rumors were true, but she had no other choice. She followed the faint signals left by old human settlements, using her wits to avoid alien patrols. Every rustle in the trees, every glowing eye in the darkness could mean danger, but she pressed on. After hours of walking, she spotted a hidden encampment tucked into a rocky gorge. Fires burned low, and figures moved quietly among the tents. Humans. Alive humans. Arya's heart lifted for the first time in days. She approached carefully, raising her hands to show she meant no harm. A tall man with a scar across his cheek stepped forward, eyes narrowing as he studied her. "Who are you?" he asked, voice rough but cautious. "Arya," she said, her voice steady. I survived the Zyra attack on my village. I came to find you." The man's eyes widened slightly. "Another survivor? There are very few left. We've been in hiding for years. How did you make it?" Arya explained briefly, careful not to reveal too much about the ancient weapons she carried. The man, whose name was Kalen, listened closely, then nodded. "You have courage," he said, "but courage alone won't defeat them. You'll need allies, strategy, and patience. Come, you'll rest tonight, and tomorrow we plan." Inside the camp, Arya met others, humans from different planets, each scarred by loss, each carrying stories of survival. Some were older, hardened by years of hiding. Others were young, like her, with fire in their eyes. They welcomed her cautiously, testing her skills, asking questions, watching her reactions. Arya felt a strange warmth, hope. For the first time, she realized she was not alone in her fight. But hope came with danger. Among the humans, there was one who did not trust her. A slender figure with cold eyes, named Jara, watched Arya constantly. Every word Arya spoke, every move she made, seemed to set Jara on edge. There was suspicion in those eyes, a shadow that Arya could not ignore. She tried to focus on the mission, but the feeling of being watched, judged, and doubted gnawed at her. The next day, Kalen gathered everyone in a hidden cave, walls lined with maps, old devices, and stolen technology from past battles. "We strike back," he said. "The Zyra believe humans are weak. They are wrong. Arya's first strike shows what one human can do. But one human is not enough. Together, we can hurt them where it counts." Arya felt a rush of determination. Together, they could plan a strike on the alien homeworld. But the presence of Jara lingered in her mind. Could she trust this human? Was she friend or spy? The thought was unsettling, but Arya pushed it aside. For now, they needed unity, not doubt. Training began immediately. Arya learned from the others, stealth, sabotage, using alien technology against them. She practiced moving silently through forests, climbing cliffs, and striking quickly before disappearing into shadows. Her confidence grew, but so did the tension within the group. Arguments flared over strategy, patience, and risk. Jara's voice was sharp and critical, often challenging Arya directly. One evening, as the group rested near a hidden stream, Arya noticed something unusual. Jara had been acting suspicious, lingering near the perimeter of the camp and whispering into a communicator she tried to hide. Arya's stomach tightened. Could it be that Jara was signaling the aliens? The thought made her blood run cold. She decided to watch silently that night. From her hidden spot, she saw Jara moving toward the forest edge, holding a device similar to the one Arya had seen in the alien patrols. A faint light blinked on it. Arya's mind raced. She needed proof, but she also needed caution. One wrong move, and the entire human group could be discovered. The forest was quiet except for the rustle of leaves and distant alien patrols. Arya's heart pounded as she watched Jara's every movement. Suddenly, a crack of a branch betrayed her presence. Jara's head snapped in her direction, eyes narrowing. For a moment, silence stretched like a frozen second. Then Jara whispered something into her device and disappeared into the shadows, leaving Arya trembling with anger and fear. She returned to the camp silently, heart hammering. She could not confront Jara now. There were too many humans around. But the betrayal hung over her like a dark cloud. Every word of trust, every shared plan, was now tainted with uncertainty. The next morning, Kalen gathered the group again. "We move soon," he said, unaware of the spy in their midst. "The Zyra will not expect a coordinated human strike. We have the advantage of surprise. But we must be careful. Every decision counts." Arya clenched her fists. She would not let Jara's betrayal destroy their mission. She would watch, wait, and act when the time was right. The humans had a real chance, to strike back at the Empire, but only if they could survive the danger from both outside and within. As they prepared to leave the valley, Arya glanced back at the dark cliffs and forest shadows. She felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. Allies could save her or betray her. The first strike had been hers alone. The next moves would be for the group, but the threat of treachery made every step tense. Arya took a deep breath and moved forward with the others, determined to lead, to survive, and to uncover the truth about the spy among them. The war was no longer just about revenge. It was about trust, strategy, and cunning. And somewhere ahead, the alien homeworld awaited, unaware that humans were planning their greatest strike yet. The alien homeworld rose on the horizon like a black jewel, its spires and towers cutting sharply into the dull glow of the distant sun. Arya crouched behind a ridge, her eyes fixed on the sprawling city below. The streets were alive with alien patrols, drones scanning the skies, and the occasional glow of energy weapons as training drills took place. Every movement was precise, controlled, an empire in motion. Arya's heart pounded. This was it, the culmination of months of planning, training, and careful observation. The first strike had been small but effective. The alliance of humans had grown stronger, but the stakes were higher now. One wrong move could mean death for her and the group. Or worse, capture by the alien leader who had destroyed her village. She signaled to the others. Kalen, the group's leader, nodded, and they split into smaller units to avoid detection. Arya's team was tasked with infiltrating the central hub, a heavily fortified area believed to house vital alien command structures and intelligence. Every step into the city would require stealth, speed, and precision. They moved under the cover of darkness, blending with the shadows of tall buildings and narrow alleyways. Arya's fingers brushed the ancient human weapon strapped to her side, its soft hum a reminder of the power she now wielded. Each building they passed was heavily guarded, but Arya's team used distraction devices, silent pulses of energy that disabled sensors and temporarily blinded alien drones. As they approached the central hub, tension coiled tight in Arya's chest. The building was enormous, a fortress of dark metal, with glowing runes etched into its surface. Energy shields shimmered around the perimeter, and guards moved with robotic precision. Arya's team paused behind a wall, studying the patrol patterns. One wrong step, and the alarms would trigger, summoning reinforcements too fast to fight. Arya whispered to her team, We need to move now. Stay low, stay quiet, and follow my lead. They nodded, hearts racing. Every step was measured, every breath controlled. The first obstacle was a gate patrolled by 2 alien guards. Arya activated a small pulse from her weapon. A soft hum spread through the metal, and the guards froze, disoriented. She led the team through the gap before the effect wore off. Inside the hub, the air was thick with energy and tension. Hallways stretched in perfect symmetry, lined with glowing panels and alien symbols. They moved carefully, hiding behind consoles and pillars. Arya could feel the weight of history here, the Empire's power, its arrogance. And yet, she also felt human determination burning brighter than any alien technology. They reached the central chamber. It was vast, filled with holographic maps, control consoles, and alien soldiers moving in patrols. And there, on a raised platform, stood the alien leader. His presence filled the room like a dark shadow, commanding the air itself. Arya's chest tightened. The man responsible for burning her village, for taking her family, for laughing at their pain, was now only meters away. Her pulse raced. The plan was simple but dangerous. They needed to plant explosives in the power core of the building, disabling communications and infrastructure, then escape before reinforcements arrived. Arya moved with precision, following the route they had memorized. She placed the first device, then the second, every step silent. But just as they were about to plant the final device, an alarm blared. The faintest misstep had triggered a sensor. Red lights flashed across the chamber, and alien soldiers shouted, moving into formation. The alien leader's glowing eyes locked onto them, and a cruel smile spread across his face. Arya's team froze for a heartbeat, but she acted. She activated her weapon's secondary function, a blinding pulse of energy. Guards staggered and fell, giving them the precious seconds they needed. She threw the final device into the power core, triggered it remotely. Explosions rippled through the building. Systems failed, holographic displays shattered, and alarms screamed into silence. Chaos erupted. Alien soldiers scrambled, disoriented by the blast. The team sprinted toward the exit, dodging energy beams and fallen debris. The alien leader shouted commands, but his forces were already in disarray. Arya's mind raced. This was their chance to escape, but the path was narrow, and reinforcements were coming fast. They reached a side corridor, but there, waiting, was a squad of elite guards. Arya's team exchanged tense glances. This was the final test. She raised her weapon, aimed, and fired carefully. The guards fell one by one, their precision matched by her cunning and skill. Still, the numbers were overwhelming. Arya knew they needed a diversion. She triggered a secondary explosion she had set earlier in the corridor. Metal doors slammed shut behind them, smoke and fire cutting off the pursuers. The team ran through a maintenance hatch, finally emerging into the alien city streets. The glow of destruction behind them lit the night sky. They had succeeded, but barely. Breathing heavily, Arya glanced back at the ruined hub. The alien leader was alive, but his empire had been shaken. This strike, small as it was, would not go unnoticed. The humans had shown that they could reach the heart of the empire, and that knowledge alone would spread fear among their enemies. Her hands shook, but her resolve burned brighter than ever. One strike was not enough. The empire was vast, powerful, and ruthless, but so were humans when they fought with courage, cunning, and determination. Arya had learned something vital. The empire could be infiltrated, its systems disrupted, and its soldiers outsmarted. And now, they were closer than ever to the revenge they had vowed. As the team disappeared into the shadows of the city, Arya felt the weight of what lay ahead. The alien leader she sought would not wait passively. He would hunt them, retaliate, and strike without mercy. But Arya was ready. She had cleverness, skill, and fire in her heart. And one day soon, she would make the alien leader and his entire empire pay for what they had done to her world. The night swallowed them as they vanished into the labyrinth of streets, leaving chaos and fire behind. The infiltration was over, but the war was far from finished. Aria's journey was reaching its most dangerous stage yet. Allies would be tested, betrayals would surface, and the final confrontation with the alien leader loomed closer with every step. The alien homeworld was a dark, sprawling city of metal and fire, but tonight it would burn. Arya stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking the capital, her chest tight with anticipation. The city lights flickered below like a web of glowing veins. She had trained, planned, and fought her way here. Every step, every loss, every hardship had led to this moment. Her team gathered behind her, silent but tense. Kalen, their leader, gave a brief nod. "This is it," he said. "We hit their command center, their weapons, everything. The Empire will feel the humans for the first time." Arya's fingers brushed the ancient weapon at her side. Its soft hum matched the pounding of her heart. The city was heavily guarded, but she had learned the Empire's patterns, their weaknesses, their arrogance. They believed themselves untouchable. That belief would be their downfall. The infiltration was swift. They moved through shadowed alleys, slipping past patrols, disabling drones with careful precision. The alien leader, the one who had destroyed Arya's village, sat at the center of the capital in a massive control tower. His eyes glowed like molten gold, scanning holographic screens, unaware of the storm approaching. Arya led the team into the heart of the city. Buildings trembled as small explosives detonated across the streets, creating chaos. Aliens scrambled, shouting orders, trying to contain the panic. But humans were everywhere, silent, clever, unstoppable. The approach to the control tower was the hardest part. Elite alien guards patrolled the entrance, their armor gleaming and weapons crackling. Arya whispered a plan. "We split. I go for the leader. You disable the defenses. Timing is everything." Kayla nodded, and they moved. Arya's heart hammered as she dashed forward, using shadows and debris for cover. She reached the tower, her eyes locking on the alien leader. The man she had sworn to destroy, the one who had laughed as her home burned, stood before her, calm, confident, deadly. "You think you can destroy me, human?" His voice was a deep, resonating growl. "You are nothing but ash beneath my boots." Arya's jaw tightened. "You destroyed my home, my family, my people. Today, I am your reckoning." She leapt forward, weapon raised, releasing a pulse of energy that sent guards staggering. The alien leader's eyes narrowed, and he moved with incredible speed, his own weapon striking sparks from hers. The two clashed in a whirlwind of metal and light, their battle echoing through the control tower. Meanwhile, Kalen and the team worked quickly. They planted explosives at the base of the tower, in key locations across the city, and disrupted the energy shields protecting the capital. Smoke and fire began to rise, and alarms screamed. Alien forces scrambled, unsure where to defend first. Arya fought with every ounce of strength, her skill and cunning matching the alien leader's might. She dodged, struck, and moved like the wind, exploiting every opening. Pain and exhaustion threatened to slow her, but rage and determination pushed her beyond human limits. Every strike, every movement carried the weight of her village, her family, and every life the Empire had destroyed. At last, she saw an opening, a flaw in the leader's defense. With a burst of speed, she struck, sending him stumbling back. She signaled to Kalen. The team activated the final explosives. The city shook violently. Fire spread through the streets, consuming alien buildings, weapons, and technology. The control tower trembled, cracks appearing along its massive walls. Alien soldiers ran, panicked, while the humans moved through the chaos, striking key targets with precision. The alien leader roared in anger, stumbling out of the control tower as flames engulfed the base. Arya faced him, weapon ready. "This is for my village," she said, releasing a final pulse of energy. The leader fell to the ground, defeated, and for the first time, fear crossed his face. From the cliff above, Arya watched as the alien homeworld burned. Smoke and fire rose like pillars into the sky. The Empire's capital, once untouchable, now lay in ruins. The humans had shown their strength, their cunning, and their will to survive. One woman, one team, had made an entire empire tremble. Exhausted, but victorious, Arya stood among her team. They had survived the impossible. The cost had been high, but their victory was undeniable. The galaxy would remember this day, the day humans struck back, clever and relentless, against an empire that thought them weak. Arya's eyes softened as she thought of her village, the family she had lost, and the promise she had whispered among the ashes. She had avenged them. She had burned the Empire's heart, and though the road ahead would be long, filled with new challenges, she knew one thing. Humans were not to be underestimated. The stars above twinkled cold and distant, but to Arya, they were witnesses to the power of determination, courage, and cleverness. She had become more than a survivor. She had become a storm no empire could ignore. With the alien homeworld burning behind them, Arya and her team disappeared into the night. Their journey was far from over, but one truth remained clear. Humans would never be defeated so long as they fought with heart, mind, and fire.